Hi, John Harbaugh here with the Harbaugh Coaching Academy. The importance of coaches in the lives of young athletes can never be underestimated, especially today. I hope you enjoy the valuable, practical insights in this interview with our expert coach. And be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We got Coach Dan Campbell with us, the great coach of the Detroit Lions, my wife's favorite city, favorite team. She loves all the teams in Detroit. She's from Redford, and you've done an amazing job there. It's just been incredible what you've been able to accomplish, and what's it like? What's it like being a coach of the Detroit Lions right now? How's that feel?
Well, look, first of all, it's a real honor, all right, to be here with you. I feel like I should be interviewing you, all right? But it's an honor. It's a real honor. I was fortunate to play there for a short period of time, so I got a feel of what it was like there, the city, community, the team, the atmosphere, even though it didn't go well or we didn't win enough games, but to be able to go back and get it on its feet, I think it's a good feeling.
Detroit's an amazing place. I mean, Jim and I grew up in Ann Arbor, Southeast Michigan, going to Tigers games, Red Wings games on TV. We never got to go see the Red Wings, but never got to see the Lions either. We were going to a lot of games, but we were fans, and the people there in that part of the country, man, they're passionate. They love their teams. Coming to play in that stadium is really, really, really hard. And that place is incredible. I'll tell you a quick story. I got to tell this story. So I got one of my best friends ever. We were playing the Lions on Monday night, and it was Rock the Blue night, right? And the place was just crazy, but it's like 0 degrees outside. Yeah. So we pull in, and my best high school buddy shows up, and he's like, Johnny's my guy. Yeah, we're ready for the big game. But he had this zip-up parka on all the way up to his neck, And I'm like, it's warm inside. It's getting a little warm in there. I'm thinking, dude, are you getting a little warm here? Right. And I'm thinking, I think I know it might be. You're hiding some other coat. So I said, you're wearing blue into that coat, aren't you? No, I'd never do that. You're wearing blue into that coat. Come over. So I grab my wrestling gun, I unzip his jacket, expose the blue sweater that he was wearing. It's like, you can't take Detroit out of
No, you can't. You can't. And I'm sure you supplied him with tickets, right?
Of course.
Yeah, that's the worst part. It's like, come on, man.
Don't we have a rule on
just
that?
a loyalty. If I'm going to give you tickets, at least wear our colors,
Right.
That's good.
But I feel like you came in there with a vision. I feel like you came in there with a picture. You knew what you wanted that team to look like, and you expressed that vision, man. You weren't apologetic about it at all. Where did you come to that vision? I mean, where did that grow from?
I think a long time ago, it was kind of like I mentioned, was knowing what that place could be. I thought that's what was unique, and I'm not saying this just because I'm sitting in front of you, but it was like, man, what if you could ever make Detroit like Baltimore? The Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, man, consistent winners over and over. What would this place look like? And that was always the vision because it had the perfect atmosphere. The soil was fertile. Yeah. And so I think with anything, you start with the end in mind, right? What's it going to look like down there? And now how do we get from here to there? And so I knew this. Everything about Detroit had been the minute Detroit was said and common conversation, right, it was always a joke. It was a punchline. It was how bad they are. Everything bled into that, no matter what industry you were in, right? That was the joke. And I wanted to do away with that. And I really wanted to use that to our favor, the players, but also the community. I wanted us to all kind of rally around that.
You expressed that to your guys. Now, day to day, how do you talk to your guys early on in that whole process? To say, this may be what people think, but this is how we're going to play. And then make that play reality, like every day at practice, every day in the meetings, kind of showing them exactly what you want it to look like.
Yeah, I think, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's, what you want to be about resiliency, right? You want to be hard work. You want to be resiliency. You want to be able to overcome adversity. And that's got to be your foundation. Yeah. That's how I view it. The rest is you work on it, man, you implement it. But, man, once you have that foundation, that core, you can overcome a lot. Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure we had that. And so, man, I talk about that nonstop. Early on, I talked about it. It was about having the right guys. It's about showing those things in practice in early games of guys doing dirty work.
Yeah.
Man, the dirty work. I'm sprinting to the ball to finish this block. Right. I'm sprinting to the ball, and I'm trying.
And you do that yourself as a head coach.
Yes, absolutely. I want to show those, and I want to highlight those. I'm not showing the one-handed catch in the team meeting. That's awesome. Everybody sees that. America sees that. Right. I want St. Brown blocking the freaking safety.
Right.
in a critical play, games on the line, and trying to finish this guy. You know, I want to show that. I want to show our corner come up and squeeze and force the edge and take a bite out of this running back. Like those are the things. The unglorious part of the game to me is what makes teams what they are.
When you build your schemes around that, because to me, I agree with you. It's about, especially from a head coach perspective. Yeah, the schemes are important. I mean, you gotta stay with people and away from people, and you gotta outsmart them sometimes, and sometimes they're gonna outsmart you. But so much of being a head coach is like how you play. The game's got to be played the right way, in a winning way. You know, you're talking about physicality, you're talking about discipline, you're talking about effort, all those kind of things. You know that are really the most important things. When you get into practice, okay, and NFL practices are tough; they're competitive, but you know you got to keep your guys healthy too. Sure. You know, how do you get those guys? What do you emphasize in practice? Because I love the way your guys play. You know, what in practice brings that to the game?
Well, I think it's the way we build it from the ground up, like anybody else, man. We teach we teach everything, man. Everything is the fundamentals and details of what you do.
Fundamentals.
Man, fundamentals, details, over and over, and you know, no matter where you're at or what part of the season you're in, or if it's late in training camp or it's the playoffs, man, you got to play the game a certain way, and it just falls back to that. When things get hard, man, you got to be able to rely on the basics, and the basics are your fundamental. It's your first step. It's where your eyes are at. It's your hat place. It's your hand placement. It's the way you finish. And so we constantly, man, we go full speed in practice, and we coach those guys the right way to play, just like we do when we're in the meeting room, just like we do in practice, just like we play. And so I think there's crossover. We're not on the field real long. So I believe if you are going to practice and go full speed, then you need to be getting it game speed like.
Right.
And you can't do that going 3 hours anymore. You know, those days are done.
Yeah, well, you don't have that many players either.
That's right. You don't have that many players. And so I do think there's an intensity element to get it full speed, do the little things right, and you continue to hit them with that and show them those.
Okay, let's take it back then from practice. I'm sure you do walkthroughs.
Yes, sir.
Some sort of walkthroughs.
Yes, sir.
How do you organize the walkthroughs and make sure the fundamentals, the eyes, the feet, you know, how intense are the walkthroughs? Is there a mental intensity to that?
Absolutely. You know this, Coach. Man, that's the big part of it. And certainly when in our league, when you get late in the year, those become really, really big for us, right? The guys you're a little bit banged up and you're trying to back off of them, but yet you got to keep the mental focus, right? The urgency of what you do. And so that is big. And to me, that I think sometimes is the hardest part, is to keep them locked in. Because sometimes, you know, you're running a 45-minute walkthrough, man. By the time you hit about 35, 40 minutes, man, stay locked in,
right.
Bend in your stance,
right.
First step,
right.
Eyes, everything. Man, show us that mentally you are going through this process.
Right. We don't even call them walkthroughs, you know, they're a type of a practice. Guys will come out sometimes, it's like they think there's different kinds of walkthroughs. Sometimes there's a meeting on your feet. Yep. That's different than when we're out there. I got to have shoes tied.
There you go.
Maybe I got some guys, I don't mind you having cleats on either.
Yeah,
we're not running, but I want to have good footing.
Yes.
Whatever, the way they're dressed. Do you make all those things important?
I like that. That's really good, Coach. Not as much as what you're saying. I love that idea, by the way. See, I just took something from you. You probably didn't want to give that away.
Oh, darn it.
But I do like that thought, because you're right. It is a meeting on your feet is totally different than a walkthrough versus walk through prep for practice. There are different levels. There are different levels. But I think for us, it is about just the little details and locking in. And you're just not standing straight up kind of, you're not getting anything out of it. Like mentally, you must be locked in and see yourself doing the job and show us that you know what to do.
Right. How about meetings? You know, team meeting, you go probably offense and defense some way. You break up into position meetings. What kind of mentality are you looking for in those, and how do you organize those?
Yeah, well, you know, we're no different than anybody else. Everything starts with the team, the big, man, let's set the tone for the week, how we see it as a team, how I see it, and then it breaks down to the coordinators, team, offense, defense, special teams, and then you break down into the individual groups, man. There's the O-line, D-line, quarterbacks, receivers, DBs. But I am big on, first of all, I know this, man. You can give them deadhead if you're not careful. So hit them in spurts, man. Make sure that, here we go. We got a 20.
I like deadhead. I'm stealing that one. It's a great term right there.
You give them 20 minutes, and man, hit them on what you need to hit them on and get them out for a couple of minutes, bring them back, and let's keep going. And, man, it needs to be interactive.
Right.
You know, I mean, ultimately, we're teachers. We really are. We're teachers. My grandmother taught third grade for over like 40 years, and so I can still remember, this is way back, but, you know, she'd pop you with the ruler and she'd spray you with Lysol, things you can't do anymore. But man, she knew how to teach, and that's really what we are. We're teachers in football. So how do you communicate and articulate what you're trying to get across to those players? And don't make it more complex than it needs to be. Keep it simple, or where they can play fast, know what to do, and make it interactive, man. Make it fun. I mean, one of the worst courses I ever had in high school, it was chemistry, and it was difficult, but yet it was the most fun I had. It was so interactive. We did so many things. We're on our feet. We're doing experiments. We're filling it. We're doing quizzes. We're filling this out. Go to the board. Sit down. Jokes are coming. You know, it was just, man, it was great. It just kept you involved and kept you engaged, and I think that's big.
That chemistry teacher must have been a great coach. If he can take chemistry and make it fun, we need to hire that guy. That's impressive. So two guys, like two coaches, we come from different paths, you know, to you know, kind of through the coaching ranks. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. But I also think the two of us have come from kind of different paths than the norm. You know, you got kind of the normal way the guys come up through the ranks. You came up a different way than most guys did, you know. And how's that like benefited you? How'd that build you into the coach that you are, the path that you took?
Well, it's a good question. And I don't know if I've really thought of it like that. I do know. I know it's unique, and it's rare to make the jump that I have, to go from a position coach to a head coach. And really, one of the things that helped me was, unfortunately, something that happened where I become an interim head coach for, you know, a portion of a season when I was with the Miami Dolphins. And so at least you get in real-time experience being a head coach. You get thrown to the wolves. But that helps. But I think just, you know, being able to, I think for me, the way I view it and the way I always have is, you know, I'm a little bit of that. I was always a soldier. I'm a soldier, but I also, there's things that call you to lead, just naturally. And so, even though I'm a head coach, I still feel like I'm kind of that soldier. I don't play anymore. I can't play. But yet I'm kind of in that mold with those players. And so I look at it from that perspective. Now, it doesn't mean I'm your best friend. That's not what this is about. But I understand what that is, and I understand what goes into it and what it's like. And so I try to take it from that perspective. There's a part of me that is very much that, and I understand that, and I approach them from that a lot. But then there's this portion of me that is Bill Parcells that I played for, you know, at Dallas, and Sean Payton, who I owe a ton to at my time in New Orleans. And I'm very much those guys too, so I feel like I'm kind of 50-50. But I'm a little bit more of that soldier mentality, I guess, than I am true, like, general. That's not really me, you know?
Yeah, you know, leadership's from the bottom up, though, too, right? You know, and you definitely, you know, that mindset is kind of what you're talking about, and there's a humility that goes with that I think players respect, and you've always, like, respected players. To me, the best coaches in this league that I've seen, everybody's got their own different style, but, you know, respect players. It's tough to be a player in National Football. You did it. You lived it. You know it firsthand. My brother did it. He knows it firsthand. I never did it. I watched it. But if you're a coach in this league, I think that respects players. Players, they feel that and they respect that back, because it's hard to be a player in the National Football League. It is a physically demanding, mentally demanding, emotionally demanding, spiritually demanding proposition. And I get the feeling that you lean into that with those guys, and they understand that you respect that. How do you relate that to those guys?
I think it's a little bit. I don't know if I can put that into words, Coach. What you just said probably is the best way to say the way I view it and the way I feel it. You're absolutely right. But I do think, and it doesn't matter who you are, man, if you show passion for the player that you're teaching and coaching, and you show them that you're trying to help them, and you show passion for the game, man, I think that's infectious, and I think it's hard not to respect that. no matter who you are, where you come from. And you know what you're talking about. You have conviction on what you're saying to those players, and they know that you believe in what you're saying 100%. Then they'll believe, and they'll respect that, and they'll respect you.
Yeah, that's really good. Why'd you get into coaching?
Man, probably the best way to say that was when I was at the Giants as a player, young player, my second year, I got invited to a camp out in Pennsylvania. High school camp. Hey, why don't you go out and, come out and help us? You can coach these guys, just help these tight ends. And I said, okay, I'll go out there and help. And so I was out there one day, and they're doing one-on-ones, and there was kind of a group of tight ends, and they had a coach, but we were going to kind of just help and supplement. And so this kid goes, and, he was not a very good athlete. He was very limited, probably 14, 15 years old, and he's going against a kid that is clearly outside linebacker that is just clearly more gifted. He's playing like choked right on him. He's not letting him off the line.
Right.
And this thing is, so he takes 2 reps, and he can't even get off the line. They blow the whistle. He comes back. He jogs back. I mean, he's just trying to do what he's doing. And so I just simply taught him a release, just, hey, man, as fast as you can when you hear the snap, man, just throw your body this way, your head and shoulders this way. And when he goes to snatch it, slip back inside, get vertical. He's going to be trailing you. I just gave him like 2 little moves over on the side while it's in rotation. And I'll be damned, that kid didn't take exactly what I said, and he stuck outside. The backer missed him. Now he's in trail technique, throws his head to the inside.
No.
Dude, he did. He bit on it, and he breaks out, and he's wide open, catches the ball. And
That's awesome.
To see the kid's face just was like, whoa. I didn't know that was in there, even for me. Like, that was unbelievable. So that was really my first taste of it. I didn't know that's what it would be down the road, but I never lost that feeling.
Yeah. That sums up coaching right there.
It does.
So you're talking to parents, and their kids coming up, shows a little interest in sports, and they're trying to pick a team, maybe Little League or whatever. And what advice would you give parents and kind of help choose a coach, and look for a coach that would be good for their child?
Yeah, I do think it's about the teaching of it. Man, find a coach that is clearly more interested in teaching you. Like, to me, it's almost like find the coach who's going to tell you, we're not even going to do anything drill-wise until we get to day 2 or whatever. Everything I'm going to do, I'm going to show them and teach them. We're going to walk through these things, especially at that age. If you're going to get the coach who's like, we're going all out all the time, here we go, it's full tilt. And it's just about how fast can you go and running into the next player, or to me, I think you need to be taught the right way, man. And I think coaches that understand that, and man, just think about it. It's no matter where they're at, you got to teach it from the ground up, and don't assume that they know anything. Right. And you have to kind of do that anyway. And I would tell you, we do the same thing on our level.
Yeah.
Man, you got to teach to the guy who may not know what everybody else does, or assume that he doesn't know that. So we still do that at our level. So I think find the coach who is interested in really teaching, man, the little fundamentals, the details, because those are about safety too. It's about doing it the right way, and that actually protects you. And keeps you from injury, right?
That's right. That's right. So you've had kind of one of the toughest compliments as a head coach. Everybody's stealing your coaches. They're coming to get your guys.
You know what that is, Coach?
I do. They're getting opportunities. And first of all, I say 3 things. How do you prepare them for that, or do you? How do you feel about it, them getting those opportunities? And then how have you gone about replacing so you can keep building on what you've been doing?
Yeah, I do try to help. I try to coach the coaches. And all I mean by that is I think of it as no different than you do the players. Now, we're in a different level now because we're up there working these long hours, working together, so it's a little different. But in regard to, hey, if there's something that I feel like you need to do better or you need to work on, or I love what you're doing, keep doing it, I'm going to let them know that. Like, I don't shy away from that, because to me, that helped me as a young coach. I mean, I had, I had Sean tell me that even as late before I got this job. He's going to let you know when he doesn't like something you're doing, and he's doing it so he can help you. And Mike Sherman was that way. I was with Mike Sherman. He was our offensive coordinator with the Dolphins. Joe Philbin. I mean, so I've had some really good coaches, man, and I appreciate that, man. Otherwise, it's like, all right, they don't say anything, or they, hey, good job, good job. Next thing you know, it's not good enough. Right. Well, why didn't you tell me what I was doing? Right. Tell me. So I want to let them know things that I think they can do better, constant feedback, things they do well. And then when you're in one of these coordinator positions, I did this with Ben and AG both. This is give them insight into what I do, what you do, Coach, to an extent. Hey, this is what the roster looks like. These are the transactions we have to make. Here's why we have to do it. Here's the way I have to view this. What do you think about this? In-game situations, that's the other, man. From a defense perspective, think of this. Hey, AG, from an offensive perspective, think about this. And so I try to let them in and coach them as much as I can on that before they get their opportunity.
Yeah. How much time do you spend on situational football?
A lot. I feel like that's something that I try to dive into a lot. You know, I feel like, you know, certainly the night before the game, there's a heavy emphasis. I'd say the morning before, but even early in the week, I try to hit some of those. Watching the games, but then just that opponent, those situations that have come up, I try to hit those and you know, just put yourself in it. You know what that is. I mean, that's more games are won and lost in situational football than anything else.
They sneak up on you too fast. I mean, you got to kind of be ahead of the game. And, you know, do you have someone in the box helping you too and, like, kind of trying to stay in front of some of that stuff? Because I've found, and you can do the best job, you know, and you can be in front of it, and all of a sudden the ball bounces a crazy way, and you've got to kind of react. But all that preparation you put in ahead of time maybe put you in shape to do that. Do you include your coordinators and your coaches, like in some of that, so they can kind of look ahead to when they get to be a head coach, maybe some of those meetings?
I do. We do that the night before the game, and I'll have the coordinators involved, assistant head coaches with me, and we'll pull all those situations from whatever happened the last week, and we watch those all together and go through them. And you know how like we'll watch them, and I'm going through it, and this is the way I see it.
Yeah.
And you know what? When it's your turn, you may see it a different way. That's okay, right. You know. But it is our time to kind of bounce things off of it. Hey, I see it this. Well, why not do this? Well, here's why I wouldn't do that. And it only helps you grow and at least think about it, right? And yes, I do have somebody in the booth that helps. And here's where I found the value, Coach, is like just to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
to verify what you may think, or, you know, and half the time you're like, I know, I got it. I got that. But then there'll be those things where you just want to, and I see it this way. Hey, you know, I'm thinking about, what do you think about? Okay, all right. You see it the same way I do. So I think those are good.
Yeah, it's huge. You have somebody to bounce it off. And I crack up when you say it, because sometimes my guy's talking to me. I'm like, I got it. Can I, okay. And other times you're just like, you know, all right, man, what do you think? You really think? You think this is a good idea?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I mean, we all go through that, you know, and I think it's good for the fans to understand that. You know, you're dissecting all that stuff as best you can, trying to make the right decision. And sometimes it works out great. And you've been great, like with fourth downs and all those things. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out great. You know, you look back and they'll ask you sometimes, they'll say, well, you know, do you wish you had that back? And I'm like, heck yeah, because it didn't work. Yeah, not that I don't think it was the right thing at the time, but,
right.
You know.
No, that's right. They do. And inevitably, there are still things that come up, to your point. Man, things happen, and they get on you sometimes, and you just do the best you can and not allow that to happen again, not to let it get on you. Or if you do make a mistake, don't let it happen again. No different than the players.
Your family, man, it's like, you know, you're an all-in kind of a coach, you're an all-in kind of a person. You're all in. You know, you're all in for your family, you're all in for the job, you're all in for your players and your coaches. How do you make those things work together?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, and you got to have a special woman, a special family. I do know that. So I've been fortunate. My wife and I have been married for a number of years now, and have 2 kids. And so, man, they're very supportive. They're all there. But I also know that, especially as this has transpired, you know, this head coaching gig now. You know, you thought you didn't have any time before. Now you really don't have time. So I think more than anything, man, just making sure that there are those special moments that are for your family. and nobody else. It's just them, and that's all that matters. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned that I have to do, and I'm trying to do. And I'm not perfect, but it's hard. It's hard.
How do you, with your coaches too, and even your players, but especially your coaches, because they're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
You do anything like have the families over? You let the kids come around? What do you try to do that way?
I love the families, and it's funny because it's like, man, as a young coach, I would never go and ask the head coach if my kids could. I would never do that. I'm just like, I'm not doing that, But as the head coach, I'm like, please bring the kids around.
Right.
Like, I love it. Man, you want especially in the off season, man, if they want to come up, let them come up, man. Let them run the hall. I don't care as long as we're doing what we need to do. But I love it, man. I want families around. We have the family nights. I'm sure you guys do that too during the season, man. Have the families come up and eat. They don't get to see everybody very much. But I'm big on that, man. I want you. You got events going on. You got volleyball tournaments, baseball, whatever it may be. You need to go see that. Right. We'll figure everything else out in the off season. Go do that because you don't get those back. You don't get those days back.
It's a great Christian group. Music group does a song called "Hey Younger Me." Okay, and they ask that question. What would you tell your younger self now?
Oh, God. Well, I guess I think from a coaching perspective, particularly in this, is there is such a thing as trying to make it work is not always the best thing. And that's crazy, right, to think of. But sometimes, man, trust your gut, believe in what you believe in, and pull the trigger on that, man. Don't just try to make things work to make them work. If you really believe it's the right thing to do, then go with what your gut says, because it's probably why you're in the position you are to be able to coach.
Thanks for the time to help make coaches be better, and congrats on the job you're doing. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other down the road, and got great respect for you. Thanks for being with us.
I got a lot of respect for you, Coach. Thank you.
Coach Campbell.
All right.
Visit HarbaughCoachingAcademy.org.